last night we officially voted in Tracy and Nicole Drummond. Woo! So thank you guys for your patience. So what'll happen is I'll catch up finally. Now it's official. I'll catch up on all the minutes. And then we'll have to revote on the last. It's just technicalities, but I want to make sure we're doing it the right way. And so moving forward from this meeting on, we'll have some minutes to review. Hey, Nicole. And then so that, Nicole, we just announced you and Tracy were officially voted in last night. So thank you.
Thanks. Yes.
So it's official. Alrighty, so great. And then I wanted to, Gina and Lynn, I think you guys are tidying up the questionnaire. I saw a draft version with some updates. What do you guys think the timeline should be? And did you guys decide on a January forum date in your working groups?
We still do not have a date.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine.
We were still targeting the middle of January, but that's not been confirmed at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Because then last night, the Sustainability Subcommittee, a new subcommittee that has been formed with Tom Erb and Megan Sullivan, they were talking about a January public forum as well. But all that gets funneled through you guys, so we don't have to worry about, interfering with each other. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And we have a working group meeting coming up this Monday, Anime, just so you know. So we'll have this on the agenda as far as a January, a mid-January forum for WheeLock.
Okay.
So we'll try to pin that down. We'll let you know as soon as we know.
No, that would be great. And then, so I suppose when you guys have that, have you guys talked about when you wanted to launch the questionnaire?
Lynn,
I think that we could launch it and leave it up for as long as you want to. I mean, I think we have enough runway now that we can give people enough time to respond. Once you guys are happy with it, I'd say we go ahead and launch it, given the holidays and everything else. And then maybe one time before, once we launch it, we can send out an email blast, and then maybe again, a couple of weeks before the forum, we can send out another email blast to say that it's still there. If you haven't had a chance to take the questionnaire survey, please do it,
Okay, so then I reckon, and then to analyze all the data, compile it, etc., maybe we should have it do that that end of the first week of January then, perhaps, and then that'll give people time to go over the results, etc.
Yeah, I think we should have it due at least a week before the forum.
Okay.
As you know, with SurveyMonkey, it's pretty quick on, how to analyze it. I mean, it collects all that and puts it into charts for you. So
yeah.
But I thought part of this would also include the traffic engineer at Niche having a bit of time to review the survey results, because I agree the SurveyMonkey puts them together pretty quick, but if we want them to sort of have something to respond to, we might need to give them 2 weeks.
Okay, good point. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because we wanted some analysis around it and not just the results.
That's my assumption, is a little bit of interpretation.
Yes, that's a better word. Thank you.
And the forum doesn't have to be the middle of January either. It could be pushed a week or two if it's easier. I just don't know what the right timing around the holidays is.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a good point that Larry just brought up. I mean, what is fair to give the traffic folks time to interpret the results and then give meaningful feedback to the neighborhood or the people who are concerned. So knowing that, somebody's raising their hand. Oh, sorry, Tim Baker. I gotta move him, promote him.
So just looking, if you were to close it sometime the first week of, oops, sorry, wrong year. First week of January, And then allow us 2 weeks. That would put us sort of the third week of January trying to host a neighborhood meeting.
Yeah,
A little on the late side, but maybe that's okay.
yeah, okay. All righty. So, so should we end? Because yeah, with the holidays, they're dicey. I would like to give that last chance, you
Yeah,
know,
makes sense.
email and whatever announcement to say, if you missed it, here you go. So can we say it's due January the 8th or something or other, that Friday? Is that fair? And then give it over to Brian and his crew?
Yeah, Lynn, how long do you think it would take to process it? It's
Well,
almost
it comes, as
almost
soon as you close
instantaneous.
it, it immediately processes.
Okay, so we
So
could
if
basically
we
deliver
close it
something.
on the 8th, we can, as soon as we close it, we can give the results to Brian and, or you guys to give to Brian.
Yeah, so why don't we say if you closed it by noon on the 8th, and then we'll be telling Brian that he's going to have the results by 5 o'clock. And if we give him 2 weeks, then we would be looking to schedule a neighborhood forum sometime in the week of the 25th. And if folks feel we need to move sooner, I could talk to Brian about how quick he can do his results.
Okay. So maybe you guys can talk about that.
Yeah, that's a good starting
Yeah,
point.
Larry, why don't you run that timeline by him and see how long it will take him? And then if we know that by Monday, then we can kind of have some framework on when we should set the forum.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and I guess to that point, it's probably good that the survey have a little something that says, by the way, there's a forum coming up on this date.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. That'd be great. And then, because if we have ours later in the month, maybe that would give an opportunity for, but I don't want to speak for the sustainability committee, but just in terms of kind of spreading the love out, you know, in terms of, you know, versus week after week a forum that can be kind of taxing on people. So maybe just a thought. Beautiful. Great. I love working backwards like that and finding dates. Okay. So with that in mind, so Gina and Lynn, what is your time frame for tidying up the questionnaire?
Well,
Sally Rogers in our office is the one that has to do it. She has the software and it's
Okay.
easier for her to do it than us do it. And she's working on it now. So we should have it today.
Oh, okay. Alrighty.
And so you should be able to kind of go through it and make any last minute tweaks at some point today. It may be
Okay.
later today before she finishes, but I would think at least we would be ready to, you know, turn it around pretty quickly after that.
Okay, beautiful. So, and to make an announcement in the paper, so would it be realistic if we submitted something, because I think Sunday night's the deadline for the papers, and we can say, look out for the questionnaire, because is it safe to say we'd launch it by next week? Yeah. If Sally's working on, okay, cool. And then they can find the survey. We're going to post it on the website. And then we can ask Christine Truewaller to post it on the town website. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right.
And we'll post it on Facebook as well.
Yeah. All our regular outlets. And
Yeah.
I, you know, and once it's ready, I will send it to Roberta Lynch over on the Council on Aging to just be mindful of that group.
I mean, I would think we should have it ready to go out public on Monday at the latest.
Okay, because the papers launch on Thursday, so that should definitely give us some time. Okay, perfect. All right.
I think Tracy's talking, but we can't.
Oh,
hear her.
sorry, Tracy. You're muted.
You'll send it to the patch too?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, because that's perfect.
Yeah. No, Colleen's awesome about.
And it
posting.
has the live link. That's what I think it is.
Yes, for sure. But I think for submissions, I'll just, you know, I think it's safe to submit something to the press and the Hometown Weekly, just kind of like a little announcement to say, look out for it. So that'd be good.
So do you want to publish it prior to, before it ends up in the paper, or?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I think that
it
matters.
doesn't
Yeah.
matter. You don't have to time it with your press release, right?
No, not at all.
Have it
No,
out there
no,
already.
no.
Okay,
I think we just get it out, you know?
okay.
And, yeah, yeah. But if we wait to put it in the paper, it'll be the following week, you know, so there.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll just get it out when we get it. Okay, that's great. And then I quickly texted Mike Quinlan and just said, do you want us to send a postcard to the neighborhood or not? You know, I don't feel comfortable making those big decisions. And he said, whatever you guys think. So I personally think that's a good idea. It's just that extra effort for that targeted neighborhood. But I'm very open to other people's feedback and comments and.
I think it would be good because those are the people that we really want to hear from for
Okay.
the survey. So.
Okay, cool. So Tim Baker, we can work on a little postcard, pretty please.
Yep, I can send you a draft this afternoon.
Okay. Oh, lovely. Okay, great. That'll be perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
Super. Because then you already have you have the template, you've got the addresses, and just you send
Yeah.
it to town hall.
Hopefully it won't take as long as last time merging all the programs together. So.
Yeah, exactly. It should be quite streamlined now. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, that's that on the questionnaire. And so timeline and milestone, I don't know. I mean, I just sent it out late this morning, but let me share my screen. I was very grateful to Tim Knight to put pen to paper, so to speak, of everything that we've been speaking about in this document. So I appreciated, he tends to put my chaos into like form. So I'm very grateful to anyone who could do that. So, because really what I was hoping to do today, so he talks about, you know, these are things we've spoken about in previous meetings. And then he's got, you know, these short-term, near-term milestones and our ongoing tasks. So growing our list, that's constant. Agenda, I'm on that and I will be better about that moving forward. Make sure required communications is occurring from Dale Street. Yep. Do we need to do anything for the PSR? So Tim Bonfatti's point was, you know, this is a technical thing. I mean, what do you folks in your experience, do we need to make an announcement that this was approved, or, you know, I don't know. What do you guys think with more experience?
I guess my sense is it's not that big a deal with the PSR.
Okay.
I think your chances to, you know, put out something upcoming is the board vote in February. And if you wanted to, you could talk about the FAS committee in January. But again, that's more of a inside baseball kind of conversation.
Yeah. But then I think at our last meeting, we talked about, Lynn had said that they could work on an article that would really explain it and just to the community in layperson's terms so that they know the next step. So we'll plan on that. That's more longer term. WheeLock questionnaire, we're on it, and focusing. Oh, and just I announced last night that we are having that Office of Campaign and Political Finance training on January the 12th at 10 a.m. If people can put that in their calendars, that would be great. I'm looking forward to that training. I think that'll be really helpful. And all right, so
I do have one thing to add to that. So I emailed this to you, Anna Mae. I did call the town to find out the number of people who voted in the last public big building project, which was the public safety building.
yeah.
And it was basically 33% of the population at the time came out. And I just thought for the committee, that's just a great benchmark for us, especially as we understand our role to be more advocacy to get the vote out, really. That we'll know, maybe we target 40% of the population. At the time when the public safety building was approved, there was only 5,000 registered voters, but now there's 9,000 registered voters as of the last presidential election. So it's a little bit more, but we could sort of target 30–40% to come out if that's a goal that we wanted to establish. And
Yeah, I think that is really fascinating data, but I think this is where that gray part comes in terms of, you know, our lane, staying in, you know, the education and engagement versus advocacy. And so I think that's why this training is going to be so helpful. But those data points, Tracy, are fascinating.
but I think from advocacy might have not been the right word, but as far as engagement goes,
yes,
at the end, when we look at to see how many voters we actually got out, and I mean, obviously the public safety building was $18 million, and
Yeah.
40% came out to place a vote, yes or no. This is a bit much bigger stake. I think setting it at 40%, we would be A+ winners, because I don't think it's going to be that hard when it comes time whenever the final vote is. But I just thought that was fascinating.
No, completely. No, and thank you for getting that intel. That is interesting. So back then there was 5,000 voters and now it's 9. Interesting. All right.
5,602, but anyway.
Awesome.
The presidential election really increased registration for voting. So that's.
For sure. Awesome. I dig that. And then so today really, I think our priorities right now is that questionnaire, getting that out, establishing a date for the forum or the Monday working group, and really getting as many people in the neighborhood and those who want to participate in that questionnaire. And so I think that's our first big goal. And then things kind of lull during the holidays. I mean, as we said, we'll keep it open, but then I think, right after the training, we're going to be off and running with this drip campaign or drip education topics. Does that make sense? Because it seems, it's just the timing. We want to be mindful in terms of the people we hit and not hit, you know what I mean, connect with, and maybe over the next few weeks is not the ideal time to put all this effort into it. I mean, do you guys agree with that?
I totally agree. I don't even think that we have to start the drip campaign ASAP in January. I think we could wait till February.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to this training. I think I need it for my own personal, to start framing things and thinking more strategically for us as a group. So I think if we can just focus on that questionnaire, get the postcard out, get it out, everybody kind of takes a piece to share it with their groups, and we really, and then attendance at the January public forums, that would be, to me, successful.
Yeah, and then I think the other piece is, and I started a little bit of this week, is to really look at the infrastructure of who we have on our lists.
Oh, yes.
And how that's all working and how we're sharing things on Facebook. So like Tim, we do have this list that we put together of key Facebook outlets that we like, but I think that we just need to have maybe a meeting, not on our Thursday, a separate meeting where we look at it. And there's a list that when you're working with Anime, when something needs to get posted, who of these 10 are we going to send it to? Because it doesn't all make sense. So like the post you did this week for the PCR submission, to me, that was perfect just to keep it on our Dale Street page. It doesn't need to be blasted out there. Something about a forum might be. So we have that all down. And I think if we just had a quick conversation, you, Anime, maybe even Nicole, if you could jump on that, because you kind of know the younger groups a little bit better than I do. I did reach out to concerned citizens. See, I'm sorry to get into the weeds with this, but
No, good. No, thank you.
is only as good as what we have this stuff done, and we have a little bit of work to do. I emailed Sean Collins from Concerned Citizens.
Oh, thank you.
He will accept you. So I just need to and I think we could do that for a couple of like friends and, the K through 8 PTO, once we know who the administrators' names are. This is where I think Nicole will know more people than I do. But I think that we can get those things taken care of between now and the time we go to that meeting. And I'm happy to take that as my responsibility and copy people as needed, if that's cool with everybody.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, hey, Tim, welcome to the world of concerned citizens. Once you get on there.
But I think the key is just kind of having the order of operations discussion of not everything needs to go there.
For sure. No.
Like the PCR thing is, I hope I'm calling it.
Yes, that was
it was not a requirement to read that because I quit. You don't have to, I'm not reading it. It's too much information for me. But I think that that made no sense to do. It would only create a backlash that we didn't need to deal with. But other things we do. So I think we can just kind of do that. So anyway, over the next week or two, I will get going on that.
Beautiful. And there was another document you created, Tracy, where it had all the, the contacts you said,
Yes. So I'll work on that. I'm going to link that. I'm going to send that document to Tim so that he can integrate it a little bit better in what he's done, because it's kind of like the backbone of it. So now that I see where everything's going, but I will definitely do that. So
beautiful. So thank you for developing more of the infrastructure, Tracy. I appreciate that. Okay, cool beans. All righty. So let me just look at my notes. All right. So I think, is there anything else? I think our task at hand, as I just said, was really just the questionnaire, and Tracy's going to do the infrastructure stuff. And
can I just make a suggestion in addition to, I think that how we are potentially, running a Zoom for PTO, MCPE, and I think that there's a couple of other groups that we should include in that group. Yeah. We should do similar for New in Town, because I too was on the board there for years, and it is amazing how many contacts that they have within the town for all of these new people, and to make sure that the message is factual versus rumors.
Yeah.
So that was just my 2 cents on it, but I think we would really benefit from it. And if they invite their board, plus we could do an optional, they usually do like board meetings, but we could be a guest at one of them via Zoom. I think it would go a really long way.
Totally. I remember being on it, and they bring on either, Richard DeSorger or, the old superintendent giving updates. I think that's a great idea, Nicole. Thank you.
Yeah.
In our initial communication in the spring, I did reach out to Tracy, who at the time was the co-president or president. And this is where I think, Nicole, you're going to be really helpful, because I'm more in the Council of Aging at this point than I am. I'm not that far. So I just feel like I did get her attention a little bit, but not as passionate as you will be able to do. And I don't know if she ever sent any of the material out that we sent, because I'm not as engaged. So I think that is having people that you are considered to be trusted sources of information makes a lot of difference.
Yeah, sure. Once we get like some time, what's the availability, I definitely think we could get on, especially since it's via Zoom now.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Great. That would be great. Gracias. All right. All righty, folks, unless there's anything else.
Yeah, hey, this is Bob and Maria. How are you? One question, I guess, and maybe it would be for Larry or one of the experts. In the communication process, I saw one of the notes was financial information. And it seems to me that as I watch and observe or participate in some of the lead up to the selectmen movements and actions and what have you, and the school board, and obviously from my perspective, because I'm on the warrant committee, the timing of providing financial information, I think, is important, particularly in the sense of being able to provide accurate information, because I think that's where a lot of the rumors and the disinformation came from. So I guess I'm just framing this in a question of how does the timing of disclosing or not disclosing so much as providing financial information, because you can say it's an estimate, you can say it's an approximation, and I know it's come out in the range of looking at the different alternatives, and you can put qualifiers on it, but people do tend to lock into them. So I guess this is a long statement with a question in terms of how does that, maybe the folks who have the experience in that could tell, what is the timing of that? Because I know right now it's developing more, but now it's going to the mass board and the like, if that makes sense. But I just think it's important to make sure that when the information goes out, it's as accurate and despite the fact of qualifications. So Larry, does that make sense?
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. And the MSBA process is a little funny different than you may have been used to with the other capital projects like the public safety. Excuse me. And what happens next, and I'll just sort of outline it and then we can follow up if there's more questions. But what gets presented to the MSBA board is pretty much in alignment with the PSR and the numbers there, and they look at those with a looseness to them. The FAS will also talk about it a little bit, but not terribly much. They sort of understand it's in process. The next phase, though, schematic design, is where really we try to create as robust a description of the project through the drawings and specifications and other, project information, such that at the end of that period, when we do the next round of cost estimating, that we capture as much of that as possible, because really that sets your budget. What happens is, and just so you understand the process, we actually have two estimators estimate it simultaneously. They each take a couple of weeks to prepare their independent estimates, and then we sit down together and spend a day and a half, 2 days reconciling the two, and basically trying to bracket where the numbers are, and then that becomes your official estimate. That gets submitted to the MSBA, and they use that to benchmark the project and determine what they will reimburse. And that's a process that happens essentially in our schedule, will happen in July and August. And that's all done in advance of the board vote, where they will then essentially set their reimbursement based on that project cost. I think we're targeting the end of August for that board vote meeting. And, then you take that, so the total project cost less whatever the MSBA is going to reimburse, and you're taking that to the town for approval at town meeting, and then the subsequent vote, which I think at the moment we're saying is in September. That's your project budget,
Right.
And that sets everything from forever after,
Right.
basically.
Right.
And then all the work we do after that in design development, construction documents, bidding, is making sure we're within that number. And there's a whole process of making sure that the scope of work and the market and the alignment and all that happens in a way that results in a number that is consistent with the budget, as well as with the scope, because the MSBA very much, when they agree to a number, they are also agreeing to a scope. So you can't come back and say, well, we eliminated a classroom because we couldn't quite afford it. But, other things they're happy to have you eliminate. So that's a little different than you may have experienced, if I recall from Mike Quinlan saying that basically they got the bids in on the public safety and then took it to town meeting. So you have this sort of, you set the budget after schematic, and that's really so shall it be. And then you don't get bids back for another 9 months to a year later. And again, we're working all really hard to make sure that we're staying within that number.
Oh, that's helpful. And I think that as as you noted, like I remember I observed last evening, that one of the questions came up about the tax computation that is being submitted to the MSBA, right? And clearly that's just a range, it's because the final number is not fixed. There's a lot of variables. And this is, to your point, I think, the document that goes to the MSBA is to give them perspective on the decision process and the direction, as opposed to this is a final document that is gonna govern the absolute numbers. And I guess my point on that is, it's one of those things where you want to try and control the conversation to keep the numbers being a range, and to be clear that the final number will be at the end of this process, from which the tax calculations and other items will be more determined. So I guess I'm just suggesting that that's a situation where the horse can get out of the barn, and you don't want to start walking people back from numbers that are that are not ever real in their projections or
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. The folks remember long and deep the numbers.
yeah. And if they hung on to that one, and you get to the point where you get to the meeting and all of a sudden people are talking about, that you may come to the September, October town meeting with people referencing, a February number I heard is I guess my question.
Yeah, no, and I think one of the big things, and not to take too much time on it, but the MSBA reimbursement is sort of a science of its own, and Lynn and Gina have more experience directly with that than I do, but they have a percentage rate, which, if memory serves me right, is 39% or something like that. But they have various ways that they calculate against that. So your sort of net reimbursement is oftentimes well below that, and people don't quite understand that process. For instance, the MSBA reimburses up to $333 a square foot. Well, construction these days is above that, and they may reimburse that percentage, but it doesn't quite align. And so somebody says, well, I thought we were getting 39%. And the answer is no, you may be more in the 20s or low 30s.
Right.
And that also impacts what your tax impact is. And then the other sort of moving target is, where is the bond market at any given time? Because that can often have the biggest impact on what people's tax rates are.
Clearly, from my perspective, the financial implications are very fluid at this point. And I guess just in terms of communication, to keep in mind, in the back that, how and when that's presented, to keep people aware that it's something that's fluid, but it's in consideration. And I guess the last item on that point is a question coming out of last night's meeting: communication on this model school option.
Oh, right.
How significant is that in terms of communicating to people what that means?
I think that is a good point, Bob. Thank you for bringing that up. And
Well, I bring it up particularly because it seems like at least one of the selectmen has shown some, strong interest in pursuing what that might mean, not in terms of favoring it, but certainly, chasing it down.
Yeah.
And I know that it would be a question that would come up in, because if the warrant committee addresses articles that have financial implications, that would be a question that would come out. Has that been pursued? How it's been discussed? So I wonder how that, again, I think in the same terms of, managing the communication so that people have a understanding of what it is and not just come to the conclusion of, well, why didn't they pick the lower cost kind of a thing.
Right. And I think once we get deeper into exploring that, I think you're absolutely right. We're going to need to be sure to communicate that out. That's an excellent point. I'd forgotten about that. Yeah. All right, so I will keep that in mind and we'll add that to the list. Super. I'm just going to stop sharing right now. All righty. Does anyone else have anything to share? No. All right, so I think our meeting is over, folks. And I thank you. Have a lovely weekend and we'll see you next week.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ciao,
thank
folks.
you.
Thank you.